duck calls for beginners. I'm going to start with what I think are some of the best duck calls for a beginner caller, and what I think is the absolute best duck call. What I'm going to say is the best one you can get is this one right here. This is a traditional walnut construction wooden call. It's called a barrel design. That's the type of it, barrel call. The manufacturer is Sure Shot, and this particular call is the Sure Shot original triple reed. This call was invented in about 1961, and actually this particular call is from the 60s. They do still make it to the same specifications with the same reed, and this is my favorite call to blow. It's the easiest call I ever put to my lips. It just wants to quack when you put it up to your mouth. If you go and buy one of these calls, or any duck call brand new, don't take it apart. Most likely it came perfectly tuned from the factory because they're all tested. And if you pull it apart and mess around with it, most likely all you're going to do is make it out of tune and mess up the reed, potentially damage the reed. So you don't want to do that right away. Just pick it up and start blowing. The Sure Shot triple reed, the original triple reed, which is my favorite beginner call, it's super easy to blow. Just put it up to the lips and just give a quack. Now, at first, your duck call is probably going to sound more like like a little cheap party favor. You got to do the right type of noise into it, the right type of mouth structure, embouchure, and vocal technique in there to get that sound. So to make that sound, I'm going to pop this out right now and just hold this end of the call. Here's the sound that I make, how I make doing the proper quack with this call. That's literally what it sounds like, and it's kind of goofy, but it is one of the good ways to practice. Pop the call apart. Don't pull the guts out. Don't take out the reed. Just pull it in half and take the barrel section, the main part. And I'm just going to do the same thing I was doing when I was quacking. Now, I'm not just saying hoot. There are some calls that you kind of say hoot. That would be hoot, 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 hoot. Not so much that. When you do the hoot, it's much more in the front of the mouth that you're working with. That much more the tongue up against the teeth and the lips that you're working with. And with this call, it's more of a grunt call, which means it's more glottal. It comes more from the back of the throat. So it's hook, 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 hook. I'm using like the back of my throat to kind of close a little bit and almost grunt. It goes hook, hook, hook. Almost saying hook, hook, hook. You're not going to get it down right away. That's okay. It just takes a little practice. But this call it's really easy to blow. The only issue I have with this call, and with pretty much all multi-reed calls, this being a triple reed, it's a little more prone to it than than the double reeds are, is that the reeds have a tendency to stick when they get wet. They get wet, generally, if you're calling a lot, full of spit. You blow through it, you get half a quack, and then it just goes, and it's silent. So what do you do with that? Well, you can wait 15 minutes, which is boring. You can also blow through it backwards. Turn it around and just blow through it. Force it out to clear it out, and then give it a minute or two to dry out a little more. The next call that I love a lot is another wooden call. This is another walnut wooden call, and these are made out of a solid piece of dowel. The next call that I'm going to recommend, this is another wooden call. It's not quite so easy to blow as the Sure Shot original triple reed, but it's still on the easier side. It's a single reed call, but it's a good mellow, raspy call. It's got a good rasp to it and a good tone. And these calls together make up my favorite pair. These are mainly the only two duck calls I ever use anymore at all. And they're a great combination for about 90% of all the duck hunting areas in the United States. These are both more of a timberland or woodland style call because they're a little bit on the more mellow, quiet, raspy side. When I'm out hunting in the big waters like Saginaw Bay or some of the big lakes around here, I'll usually want to get a call that's a little more piercing. I can do that fairly well with my standard walnut here. I messed that up again too. That's a big edit. So starting from there. The last two on the list. The next call that I'm going to recommend here, which really complements the Sure Shot original triple reed, is the Art Beacham Standard Walnut Call. B-E-A-U-C-H-A-M-P, Beacham. Now you can look up Art Beacham duck calls. It's a hard to pronounce name based on the spelling, so I'm just going to throw a link in the video here and towards the end for both of these calls actually, but Beacham. That's Art Beacham duck calls. Art started making these things around 1944 or so, mid-40s, and he got really good. He's actually the title holder for the World Champion of Champions duck caller, and I think they only ever did that once, so he's the only one with that title. This call is a little louder and sharper, higher pitched than my Sure Shot, and I'll give it a quack here. It's still a fairly mellow call, and it's got a nice rasp to it. That wood construction, I love wood calls because they all have a more mellow sound. They're a little bit pricier just because they're wooden, which I appreciate that wood because I think it looks nice, but it gives them a more mellow sound, which often to me sounds more natural. This is the call that I use when I need to reach out there more, when I need more distance in my duck calling. I'll use my Sure Shot triple reed if I am working the ducks closer. It's a quieter call, so it's great for closer, and it's also, because it's quieter, rougher, raspier, it's a little harder for them to pinpoint the location of, which helps when the ducks get in close. They have to come around, slow down, and look harder in my area. When I need to coax a duck into my decoy spread or my hunting area, this is the one that I use to really get them to come down, put the brakes on, and put their feet in the water. But when I need to reach out, I use my standard walnut, Art Beacham Standard Walnut duck call. It's much more sharp pitched, but still what they consider a mild, more mellow, raspy call. This call is my 200-yard call. If I see a flock of ducks out 200 yards, I have no problem talking to them very clearly with this call. It's got some piercing reach to it, but not like some of the real high-pitched calls. If I'm going to be out in the real big waters, out in the big bay, I'm probably going to want something that's got a little more shrill in it, because I'm going to be attempting to call some of them ducks from as far as a mile away, and I need that sound to reach them. Thanks for watching Gun Tradition. The mosquitoes are coming out and I didn't get any bug spray, so I'm going to head back inside. Don't forget to check out my latest videos here, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye now.